You're listening to the podcast for all of the news, notes, and breakdowns for your Ohio State Buckeyes. This is Sons of the Shoe with Nick Wilson and Spencer German.
Sons of the Shoe rides again. Nick Wilson, Spencer German. And obviously spring practices roll on in Columbus. They practice on Monday. They practice on Wednesday, and then they'll also practice on Friday. And, of course, this is the second to last week before the spring game coming up at the end of next week. So plenty to get to. We've got a new Ohio State running backs coach. Deion Sanders said some Deion Sanders type stuff as well. But before we get into anything else, as always, we beg for your patronage. Please make sure to go ahead and follow the show wherever you get your podcasts. Sons of the Shoe on Apple, Spotify, 923thefan.com, the free Odyssey app. Have I mentioned Apple? And also, as you can see, our beautiful mugs right now, if you're looking on the 923 The Fan YouTube channel, please make sure to subscribe to that one, meaning the 923 The Fan YouTube channel, and like our videos as well. But Spencer, how you doing, buddy?
Can't complain. Excited, getting more and more excited by the day for the spring game here. And we're 10 days out now, I think. So I've been checking the weather. Because I think I told you we're talking about trying to go down as like a family, make it like a little family thing. I think Jackson, my son, he gets in for free anyway. So it's kind of one of those deals where my wife was like, well, let's make sure the weather's going to be nice before we go all the way down there. And then we're just sitting in the rain with a toddler for 3 hours. So we're keeping an eye on that, but we're looking forward to potentially being down there for that. So it should be a good time.
I do love the idea of trying to monitor the weather 10 days out of anything. And it's by the way, very smart mom thinking there. Like, that's really like, as a dad, I would not think like that. I'd just be like, me want to go to spring game, me go to spring game. So very smart, but yeah, like there is visual comedy to me. The idea that like every day you just get up and like, all right, we got to make sure that forecast stays the same. Got to make sure we're still partly cloudy and 60 because if this goes to pot, we got to bail on this. And that's, again, this is why moms live longer than dads, folks. This kind of actual thinking. Yeah. Yeah,
she's definitely the smarter one, planning ahead that way. I mean, it is hard. Like 10 days out is always hard. I started looking up to 2 weeks out. I was like, oh, what's it just saying right now? And it's changed like every day. So we'll probably just wait until the weekend, see what it says on Saturday, and then that'll be our big decision maker in terms of what we're going to do.
Well, as I mentioned, spring practice does roll on as we are right about 10 days out from the spring game coming up here on the 13th. But what's interesting about this conversation, what's interesting about this week is obviously the faux quarterback battle continue to rage on. And in the midst of that, Will Howard, who obviously is the new beans of the group here as he is transferring in from Kansas State, he got his black stripe removed. I believe it was on Saturday, and that is the same time that incoming center from Alabama, Seth McLaughlin, lost his black stripe. So I have no idea what that means for the quarterback battle that I don't really think is happening, but good for Will Howard, good for Seth McLaughlin.
Yeah, I was actually one of the things that I kind of learned more about this year was the idea that somebody who, like, I didn't even necessarily think people like Caleb Downs or Will Howard or some of these veteran guys that are transferring in, I didn't realize they made them do the black stripe thing. Like, I thought that was just kind of like when you're a freshman coming in or a new recruit who came in that it was like you earn your place here. And I get why they would still do that for some of these transfers, but I don't know. I guess it's like a symbolic thing anyway, so it doesn't really matter all that much. And we kind of joked about that, I know, a couple episodes ago, just whether or not it's more just an arbitrary, we're going to take this off because we think it's time for you to take it off, or if there's like actually parameters that come with taking it off. But I was kind of surprised to learn that, I guess, this spring season. But I agree with you, especially on the Will Howard front. Like, I don't know if it means anything in terms of the quarterback battle that they're saying they're having. I don't really think that it's as big of a thing that's happening as others do, as we've kind of laid out on this show. Do we know? I don't think I've seen any of the other quarterbacks have lost theirs, right? Other than Devin Brown's been there. So he doesn't have one.
There's been 6 guys. There's been the first guy to lose it was Jeremiah Smith. Then it was Brennan Schramm, the preferred walk-on out of Medina, Drew Aller's old buddy. Then it was Quinshawn Judkins and Caleb Downs. And then this weekend it was Will and it was Seth. So, I mean, it's really only been those 6 guys, or at least reported.
So, is this the thing that when they announce, and for the audio audience, I'm doing, finger quotes, when they announce Will Howard as the starting quarterback, is this going to be one of the things that, he was the first quarterback to lose his black stripe. So we just, we felt really good about the spring that he had. Is that going to be one of the things that they cite as oh yeah, he was just ahead of the other guys, even though we kind of knew that the entire time?
I don't know. I think it'd be funny if they were Devin obviously having had his black stripe removed. We love Devin, but it was Saturday. Will got his, with 2 weeks to go. We were just too impressed with that. And of course, it took Devin longer to lose his black stripe last year. It'd be funny if that actually was that reset the depth chart for the next year, up until they actually set it by going to practice and going to the spring game, and then obviously to training camp. It'd be really funny. It was just hey, yeah, I know you had 1,000 yards last year, but you're the number 4 receiver because it took you the longest to earn your stripe when you were here 3 years ago. I think that'd be very funny. I do like the idea. And I listen. Now I'm just talking out my ass a little bit. I do like the idea of having to re-earn it every year. I always thought that was something that was really impressive, but they don't do that. So I was just going to say, if Ryan Day was a real tough ass, like I would be as a head coach, that's how they do it.
Maybe that's, since they don't do it that way, I was going to say, maybe that's what scared Kyle McCord away. Hey, Kyle, we're going to make just you re-earn your stripe. We're going to put the black stripe back on. You got to re-earn it. And he was like, yeah, I'm just going to go to Syracuse and have my orange stripe from the beginning, I guess. I don't know.
I don't even think they can afford an orange stripe. It's just they literally give you the zebra stripes gum. It's here is your stripe. And that's what you get at Syracuse. And then you have to reimburse them the 25 cents for the stick of gum.
They take the wrappers from the big red gum and they just lick them, and they put a bunch of those over the helmet.
No. You only get one thing of gum. And how you use it is up to you. No, I think it's probably listen, with how this thing is built and was built, the whole point of this whole thing was not to have any surprises. So the idea, it's Jeremiah Smith and Brennan Schramm and literally all the big names, Quinshawn and Caleb and Will Howard and Seth. I will say, if Edric Houston got his black stripe off before those, I'd be a little surprised. If it was anybody, I think they got a tight end from Ohio, that dude. I'm not expecting that dude to be one of them. So this offseason was, it kind of needed to fall out in a logical way. And I think it has, and I think it will. And I think spring practice is I believe Will Howard's going to be the starter. To me, it was okay, yeah, he lost his black stripe before, with 2 weeks to go to the spring game. I think that's a positive sign. And the Caleb Downs things too, because people have taken that as Caleb Downs is here and here to stay.
Yeah, I thought his sort of speech, I don't even know if it was a speech. It was kind of just a little pep talk that he had after they announced he had lost his black stripe. And we do have that audio, actually, which we'll play here for you in a second. But I thought that was the most interesting of these because obviously just all the rumors and stuff that's going on in relation to could he leave in the spring portal window. Here, let me play the audio because I had there's a specific reason why I think this matters. And listen, I understand things can change, obviously, But there's a specific reason why I think this quote from Caleb Downs matters.
And a black stripe of that! Hey man, this guy's been a great addition to the team and the culture. Former freshman All-American, newest member of BIA, Caleb Downs! I appreciate y'all accepting me here. I'm glad to be here. Wouldn't want to be nowhere else. Go Bucks.
So the reason I think that matters, and again, things can change. Players can change their mind at the blink of an eye, especially nowadays with the NIL stuff. Somebody could come. I mean, look what happened with Caden Proctor, right? Somebody can slide to your DMs tomorrow and be like, "Hey, we can offer you more than Ohio State. Why did you say you come back to Alabama?" But the reason I think that him saying that matters is because he's saying it to the people that he has to like look in the eye every day. Like it's his teammates. It's not that he's saying it to the media in a press conference, right? Where, I mean, we know from all the years covering the Browns, Nick, like coaches and GMs, even players in press conferences, like they sit there and they lie to our faces all the damn time. Like we can't count on anything that they say in those instances. But when it's a player talking to his teammates, there's like a different level of respect between that group of people that I think him saying that to that group matters. Now, again, he could change his mind and it could change tomorrow. They could get through the spring game and somebody could show up with a bag of money and he's like, yeah, I'm actually going to leave. And I'm sure his teammates would support him because it's whatever's best for him, right? But at least that's what they always say. But I do think that it carries a little bit more weight when it's in that setting and to that group of people specifically that he's saying, I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. You know, I'm happy you guys accepted me.
So I can hear what you're saying on that. I also just think, I would be kind of surprised if we're reading the tea leaves, I'd be surprised if Ohio State was going to give a black stripe to a guy they were worried about, leaving. If like you were worried about Caleb Downs doing the Caden Proctor, you probably would either make him work harder to earn it, or you'd probably wait till after the spring portal to do it. Like, and remember, there's no set time. The black stripe has to be removed. So, I mean, I think that's kind of interesting. I think it's, again, I was never, to me, with the Caleb Downs thing, it always just came down to, well, you never know, right? Because we don't know Caleb Downs, and even, people around the program, they're still getting to know him. So, like, it was one of those moments where to see him get the black stripe removed, to see his reaction, okay, all right. It still wouldn't surprise me because nothing surprises me when it comes to the portal anymore. But at least now you can make you feel like, okay, well, it looks like we're actually okay. And, all that was just kind of spring paranoia maybe.
Yeah, and I think one of the more profound points that you made when we talked about the Caden Proctor thing was just the difference between Iowa money and Ohio State money, right? Like that's one of the bigger things to me. If you're talking about Bama luring a guy back because they have the money to give over what Iowa probably has to give, that makes a little bit of sense. We have seen over the last, really since the end of the season, since the end of the national championship, really, for Ohio State really was like the end of the regular season where they kind of put their heads together, really started pushing for people to help donate to the collective, help with the collective, and make a point in trying to keep players here and have this sort of bucket of money to use. And I think Ohio State's now kind of come out as at the forefront of this era because of that initiative this offseason. And it's probably for the best. I mean, look at the team that they've assembled because of that. And yeah, like they now have the money to go out and get some of these top name recruits, which they're also doing just through recruiting high school kids right now. There's been a whole bunch of talk about guys visiting and guys whittling their list down and Ohio State's near the top, or guys verbally committing to Ohio State, which that could always change, obviously. But, I think they have the money now to kind of compete at the top of this NIL era. And it's different from, they have the ability to actually maybe outbid a guy who maybe is thinking about Bama versus Iowa, who can only probably offer so much. That doesn't make it any less unfortunate for the Iowa situation and the fact that he's basically robbing you blind unless he gives the money back. But, yeah, from Ohio State standpoint, like, I think they're fine. And this certainly speaks to that. And I do think him saying it in that way, and to your point, like losing the black stripe when he did, I think all that should be kind of context as for Buckeyes fans to not be as panicked about the idea that he's leaving, like some, Bama fan 69 on Twitter is insinuating that he heard some rumor through Reddit that he's going to leave.
Don't forget, there are 3 X's next to the 69 on Bama fan 69XXX. All right, guys, what do you guys think about the 6 black stripes being removed? Obviously, that is one of the latest developments from spring practices, but when we come back, I don't know whether people are legitimately happy about the hire or whether they're just relieved that they actually made a hire. That's coming up, but first, a quick word from our sponsors.